The Rack is back. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's been 3 weeks since Tyler. We've done the John Carpenter tier list. So tonight, bringing the comics back into the fold, we're going to be talking about Ultimate Spider-Man number 10. And before we start to flip through the pages and go back at this point now, almost 25 years ago.
God,
what you been watching these last couple of weeks?
Washington's been pretty minimal because it's get up, go to work, and do the routine, and my downtime at home pretty much has just been reading comics. I mean, that's just what I've been doing a lot before bed. I did watch Captain America and Iron Man, the first ones, last weekend in 4K, but other than that, I really haven't watched anything of note. Just random videos on YouTube when I'm having breakfast or taking a break at work or something like that. But just reading a shit ton of comics. That's all I've been doing.
What you been reading then? Because once you talk about what you've been reading, I'll jump into the movie section because of course I've been watching stuff. But what have you been reading?
I did read several issues of Ultimate Spider-Man just because I was reading it, but that's kind of what led me to this idea because I just decided to read some for fun. I'm like, you know what? And that's just kind of what helped me get tonight's idea. I've read, a while back I was reading some Punisher War Journal. I've read some some other. I gave some modern books a shot, and I read it for a little bit. And like, fuck this.
Well, all right. Well, what modern books?
One of them was called. I think it was called Always an Invader, or or Invader, which was a takeoff of it's a continuation of the Invader storyline, which is Captain America, the original Human Torch, and Submariner.
Okay.
And they're running World War II in a story that's taking place kind of more modern day with their ties back to that. And I gave that a shot because the guy who wrote Spider-Man Life Story wrote it, and Alex Ross did like a really cool variant cover for the first issue. I'm like, okay, let me look at this, and I read like the first 3-4 issues, and then by the time I love the World War II stuff. Like I wish they just stuck with that. The modern day shit. This is once we got by issue 4, I'm like, fuck this.
When you say modern day stuff, are we talking like what? Like
2019? I think is when this thing came out. So it's still a few years old, but I don't keep up with modern stuff just because I get scammed all the time by it. So,
but when you're talking about you love the World War II stuff, and then so in this book, are they skimming across World War II stuff, and then or is it all taking place? Are we talking like Gulf War? Are we talking like Afghanistan?
No, it seems to be like current day because it's when. Bucky is now he's the Winter Soldier, but he knows who he is. He's friends with Cap again and all that. So it's not like it's just after it seems to be well after Bucky has figured out who he was as the Winter Soldier and all that stuff. And Namor has executed a couple of Roxxon oil executives. I think I think what that story is in another book, and I didn't read it. But the point is he's getting ready to launch like a massive war on surface people because of the oil spill, I believe is what it was. So Cap and Bucky are trying to get him to like calm. And the original Human Torch is starting to write memoirs of their time in World War II. And they're all just kind of wanting to work together about trying to stop Namor. Like Cap goes down to Atlantis to try and stop him. And the look of Namor doesn't look good at all. Like it looks like he's younger as opposed to how he looked in World War II, which is the classic, Namor look. And then you see this modern day look, and God, he looks like he's in his 20s. It's like it just doesn't look good. The art's different.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but the World War II story has good art. I like that story. I was like, can we just walk here? And I know
can we just go back to this?
Yeah, and I'm like, there's the actual Invaders comic that Roy Thomas wrote back in the 70s, which continues more adventures of the original Human Torch, Namor and Cap, World War II stuff. They touch upon it in other books, but I gave it a shot because that cover Alex Ross did was like, okay, that looks really fucking cool.
And what else you've been checking out? I know that because it's been a hot minute since we've done a spinner rack. I think in between us doing Superman 4, maybe even around that time, or a little after. I can't remember exactly. You did check out the Wolverine Predator comic, correct?
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't like the worst thing, but all it really was just, hey, we just referenced the first Predator. Oh, look, we did it again. Oh, look, we did it again. And they tried to tie the Predator into like all these times in Wolverine's life. Like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know, it really could have been just a one simple shot adventure, but they try to play it up like one Predator is continually trying to hunt Wolverine throughout his lifetime. Like, this is fucking stupid. Like, he's tied to Weapon X, so the Weapon X helmet that he's wearing is the professor like picks up a Predator mask and like and becomes inspired by that, and like that's fucking stupid, man.
Yeah, all right.
Just shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, like
I
they
get
drop
you.
it. There's a Weapon X mission where they go to South America, like in the first Predator. It's Wolverine, Sabretooth, and I can't remember if Maverick's in it and someone else. And they go and the Predator brings some of his buddies and they try and hunt them down there, and it's just like references to. It's just like, you know what, this could have been. Why do you feel when people just have to just try? It's just like, can't you just tell a story that has no ties to anything we've already known? It's a separated story. Like Wolverine and the Predator writes itself, but this guy's like, nah. Give me a shitty artist, and I'm going to reference the Predator movie like incessantly. It'll be great. Fans will love it because they're fucking dumb. You know, it's why?
Well, what else did you? What newer stuff did you check out?
I did read because I had, as a big Spider-Man fan as I am, I had no idea. I don't know about these two magazines, but I didn't know the storyline of Spider-Man 3940, where Norman Osborn like finds out Spider-Man's secret identity and then reveals who he is. That story like is over, but in Spectacular Spider-Man #2, which was a magazine they were trying to sell, I think, to the masses, like to get it out to people, is a direct continuation of that fallout, which will eventually lead to the other Green Goblin stories down the road, and the eventual death of Gwen Stacy and the death of the Green Goblin. Because I used to wonder, like, where is the pickup from this? You know, and it's in that particular issue, and I read that, and that's on the Marvel, and I'm like, I need to buy that. Like, it's a magazine,
Yeah,
and it's got beautiful artwork on the inside from John Romita, a beautiful cover. I'm like, fuck, man, like, how did this elude me? But I had no idea what it was, because they made a lot of magazines and they were just reprints with a really cool looking cover on, which I assume that's what it was.
Do you think that's kind of the biggest pitfall around that time period of just having so many Spider-Man books out all at once? Really?
Well, even back then, I think they just had the one book. It was just Amazing Spider up until, I believe it was somewhere in the '70s, I think the mid '70s. I think they started Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Well, and Web of Spider-Man starts in the '80s.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a generalization, though, because you would get a lot in the '90s, especially where all of them would intertwine, and you would have to buy all of them to get the collective story.
If you were going to read Maximum Carnage or the Clone Saga, they spread it out. Or, I mean, you had Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, Adjectiveless Spider-Man, Spider-Man Unlimited, Spectacular Spider-Man. Did I see Web of Spider-Man?
Maybe.
I think
you said it earlier, but I don't know if you were saying it.
Web of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man Unlimited, Spectacular Spider. At least 5 fucking titles.
Yeah.
That you had to, jump all over the place, and you had different artists on all the books. Some of them were substandard, some were decent, some were really, really good. But and that's kind of one of the things that always drove me crazy about some of the DC stuff, is that there were so many fucking Batman books.
Yeah.
And you go back and you try to dig up and research and read, and the books are all over the place. There is not it doesn't feel like a consistent timeline for a long stretch where it's just you're bouncing all over one story you read in this book, there won't be a continuation from that story, maybe 3 or 4 issues down the road.
Yeah.
Just kind of at random.
Yeah. It seems kind of frustrating in any regard. Even when you're going through the apps and you're reading, it almost seems like if you're going to pick a character. You need to pick a book and just sort of stick with it for the most part until really in the 90s it starts deviating. Like, oh, hey, as mentioned in Spectacular Spider-Man issue, blah blah blah, and you go there. I honestly kind of hate that quite a bit, and I'm glad that I didn't, because the time period collecting comics with my dad. Yes, all of that stuff was happening, but we weren't really buying new comics for the most part. It was mostly back issue stuff.
Yeah.
Unless there was a major event, or in my dad's case, it was always in increments of 50. So it's like, oh, you got to get Spider-Man 300, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's shit like that. But other than that, it was just back issue stuff. And looking back on it, I kind of seems more the basis of judging by the cover more than anything. Because even then going through that, I didn't necessarily know what was going on. Plus, at the same time, starting to learn how to read at this point. So I'm much like you back then. Pretty pictures. Oh, look at the art is what sells it more than anything.
Yeah, and that's why it's still so important to me. I don't give a fuck how compelling your story is. If you got, some of the shittiest, laziest art, and you're paying this guy to do this, I won't give your book a shot. I'm like, it is, and that's why one of the reasons I hate modern books so much. They'll sell you, they'll tie you in with a beautiful looking cover because they get Jim Lee to do a variant cover.
Or Alex Ross to do a cover.
Alex Ross or Joe Jusko would do this awesome, painting. And you open the book, like, fuck, you're so disappointed because the guy who's doing the interior artwork is like, oh my God, like Marvel paid you?
But
to do this?
At least a couple of things for those of you listening, wherever this may be on YouTube or checking out the audio version. Tyler has at least checked out newer books. But I'm going to swing back to the movie conversation since you got nothing. Kind of backtracking just a tad. I'll start here because my letterbox, man. I log every movie that I watch, even if it's a rewatch. I have to do it every time. After our John Carpenter tier list, I watched The Terminator. I watched Frankie Frico because I had mentioned that I was going to check that out. I checked it out. It's fucking weird and stupid, and I loved it. But I like those guys. It's an acquired taste. It's the Astron 6 guys. So they did the editor, Manborg, Psycho Gorman. There's a few others to the list, but this one was pretty fun. Got on a Cronenberg kick.
Yeah, because you watched Videodrome, which was really
cool. I watched Videodrome for the first time in its entirety and fucking loved it. I watched This Is Gwar, a documentary on the band Gwar, and that was
that was the Beavis and Butthead band. I remember
they were featured in the video game.
Yeah, they had to get to the Gwar concert.
That was a fun documentary. I kept up with the Cronenberg and watched Scanners, and that was okay. And this is going to be a running theme with some of the shit I'm starting to talk about. So Scanners was pretty decent. I watched Naked Lunch.
How was that?
Overall, I was kind of like, it ran too long. But it seems anytime there's a story that's based on a writer, I kind of just over time lose interest. Practical effects in it are amazing, but the story's just not strong enough to really that was a one and done for me. I watched The Brood, and that was pretty solid. Of course, checked out Halloween 2 on Halloween night, and
I did watch Halloween 2 myself. I always enjoy revisiting that.
Halloween 2 is Halloween 2. I watched Miracle finally, the Disney movie based off of the U.S. hockey team that defeats Russia, and Kurt Russell
playing the coach. Yeah,
I liked it, but I thought that the first half of it was way more interesting when he's assembling the team. Once we get to the part and they're starting to play and they play Russia and everything, when it gets to the end and it's, do you believe in miracles and all that shit? for whatever reason, the gravitas of that moment, I don't think translated as well in this film. But I really enjoyed the first half of it. Rewatch Remember the Titans because I fucking love that movie.
I think everybody does. I think I'm one of the few people who hasn't seen it and never cared to see it because I'm not a football guy. Yeah, I've never seen it.
I mean, I think even if you're not a football guy, even just the racial implications at the time and seeing where we were as a country in the early 70s, because I think it takes place in 71 or so, and just how much that resonates, especially now. But even then, just the ensemble cast is fantastic in it, and it's one of the few roles with Denzel that I can really tolerate.
And I'm not a Denzel fan at all.
I'm not. He's fine, but Remember the Titans. I checked out Buck and the Preacher, which is a Sidney Poitier Western that has Harry. I'll probably fuck it up. Is it Harry? Yeah, Harry Belafonte. And that was, once again, much like Miracle, the first half of that movie, very intriguing. And Cameron Mitchell plays the villain. But spoilers to anyone that this movie's from 1972. He gets killed off about halfway through, and then I'm like, well, where's the rest of the movie gonna go? And then after that, I'm kind of like, if they would have just kept the Cameron Mitchell character up and did some other things and built that up, I would have dug it a little more. Repo Man, I was texting you about this.
Yeah,
I fucking loved it. It was weird, and the main theme from Iggy Pop ruled. Like the dialogue's fucking funny in it, so that was amazing. That was a good blind buy, and with it being November, you're going to see a pattern starting to develop here for most of these, is because Barnes & Noble has the Criterion sale going on. I'm like, oh, what do I want to pick up? What do I want to check out? So now I've started to watch some of these films that I've kind of put off for far too long. But Repo Man, fucking loved it. I watched Ricky-O, The Story of Ricky, which is I think it's a Hong Kong film that I'd seen a lot of shit from. It came out in 91, and it's overly gory, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it is based off of like a manga, and it was okay. I get why people really, really like it, but it didn't hit those spots like a Deadly Prey or Miami Connection or something would do for me. Watched the Coen Brothers Blood Simple, and I like that quite a bit. Lots of scenarios in that where I was like, holy shit, what are you doing? What are you doing? But like it keeps going. It has a good payoff. That's a good Coen Brothers. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get really weird, and I'm going to start watching some David Lynch shit, because the only stuff I'd ever seen was Elephant Man and then like a smattering of episodes of Twin Peaks. So I watched Blue Velvet, and that was fucking hilarious. Dennis Hopper is amazing in it. So I ended up buying that Criterion. Blue Velvet is on Tubi right now. And then I went and dusted off the old DVDs, because I have a bunch of DVDs that are just sitting down there, and it's shit that I bought and I've never watched. So keeping up with the David Lynch, I watched Mulholland Drive. And the interesting thing about Lynch movies, and for me watching them, is they always seem to run a little too long, but they're just weird enough that it really maintains my
engaged still.
It keeps me engaged still. And I mentioned this in my stories for any of you that follow me on social media. The last 20 minutes of Mulholland Drive feels like when I disassociate really hard a lot, because I do that a lot now. And watching those last 20 minutes, I'm like, all right. So I'm kind of engaged in David Lynch now. So I think I'm going to watch some more David Lynch movies because because they all have this air about them. And I just like that foggy dream-esque weirdness that he provides. So it took me long enough to get there, I think, but I'm locked in. So I'll probably check out Inland Empire. I want to check out Lost Highway a lot. because that seems like that's going to be the good balance between all these, from what I've read and researched and gotten kind of opinions of others, that it's going to be that good. That's going to be where I want to be when I watch a David Lynch film, but we'll see how it goes. And then also, finally, before we move on to Ultimate Spider-Man here, I've never watched this, and I'm just cycling through or trying to find something to watch. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give Band of Brothers a shot.
I've heard nothing but good things about that. I just never got around to watching it.
It's great. I'm 3 episodes into that, and it's because obviously they're basing it on like these are real. These people were actually there. This is not like we're taking the scenario and building around that. No, this is what these are the lives of these people, and it deserves all the high praise that it got. It's really, really well done, and it's stupid. Like looking back at all this stuff, I'm like, can't believe I haven't watched this. I can't believe I haven't watched that. But that's sort of the beauty of it. It's like coming back around to it now. The ease of access that we have across streaming platforms and everything. It's great to finally digest some of this stuff. But with that being said, I am long overdue to watch Creed again.
Well, it is shocking. I haven't woke up till like 18 minutes. Oh my gosh, the best fucking movie I've ever seen.
Well, that's why I was working second shift. Now that we're on the same timeline, I pretty much mainly go to bed when you do.
I'll wake up to at least maybe 4 or 6 messages. Sometimes. Because but a lot of times it's always okay. What does Nathan have to share here? It's the most random stuff, as I've always said. But if he's watching Creed, I'm going to get about a dozen messages.
Febmon saying here, interesting movie picks. Yeah, that was kind of that's one of the things I've been wanting to do, especially like the last few months, is really just check out shit that I've never watched before. Because you can sit around and watch things that you've seen already 5-6 times.
I never get tired of doing that, though.
I don't either, but I really enjoy just finally just voyaging in and checking out all this shit that I probably have just needed to watch like 20 years ago.
I still say I think a lot of our taste has evolved, Lou. I feel like there's things now that we have not watched, much like some of the stuff that you've watched. Like, I don't know, 20 years ago, if it would have held our interest, if we would have been able to appreciate it as much,
Absolutely. I think 25 years ago, if I would have put on one of these David Lynch movies, I don't think it wouldn't have resonated as much. It comes with just getting older, but also I think just the mental aspect, where I am mentally, talking about how I disassociate a lot. Watching those movies, it's oddly comforting. I embrace its weirdness, and just I look at some of that shit. I'm like, oh wow, all right, a major motion picture company. I was like, yeah, all right, go ahead. You did Twin Peaks, go ahead.
Yeah,
but also, and we won't linger on this too long either. That was sort of the beauty of that back then. Like these things could be made and go out, and even if they didn't make as much money, still overall turn a profit from video sales. Now, that's way harder to do. I did want to check out I don't know if you saw anything about it, the Saturday Night Live. They Ivan Reitman, or not Ivan Reitman,
his son.
Yes, directed
Jason.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Jason Reitman.
Yeah, directed the movie based off of like that first night of their first show, and that's got good reviews. So I would like to check that out. There's quite a few things. I know Alien Romulus is going to be on Hulu on the 21st of November, so I guess I'll be watching that eventually.
And I'll be getting 24 text messages about how fucking shitty.
Why did they do this?
And I'm like, why did you watch it?
Yeah, please stop.
Yeah.
All right.
He's just. I know what to do. I'll go back and do a sequel to Gladiator, because that's what we directors do. When we can't make anything fucking original, we go back and make sequels to movies that didn't need sequels.
Yeah. What
moron?
What is that sitting at on the old Rotten Bananas score?
People are just, this is the best movie of all time. Denzel's gonna get an Oscar, and blah blah blah. Yeah, all right. Look, look, I see the reference in the first. Oh, look, they're doing it again. Oh my God, another reference to the original film. Wow, how fucking original is that?
Where is this? Gladiator. Come on, Gladiator
The
2.
only thing I will give a nod to is that the deleted rhino sequence from the original movie that they couldn't do, but there's like test footage of the rhino. That's in this movie, which I'm like, okay.
It's sitting at 75% with 144 reviews, so it seems
because everyone's just like, oh my God, a new Gladiator, and they're easily distracted. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, do you remember that? And,
yeah,
like, yeah, fuck you. It's not getting my time and my money.
Johnny Cox saying Romulus was awesome until the last 20 minutes. I've heard that. I've heard that it's pretty good, and then the wheels just fall off of the phone.
I heard about that too, and then people are like, oh my God, like the awesome cameo, like, and I'm thinking like, I already know who the cameo is, and I'm just making an educated guess, like, and you guys are
I'm surprised.
Yeah, like, why are you guys getting boners about that? Like, it's fucking stupid, it's lazy. Like, again, it's this, we got to tie it into, like, no, you don't. Like, stop trying to tie everything to better movies.
I was sitting there thinking earlier, it's like, maybe we won't do this week. Maybe it won't happen. But it did. That's fine. All right.
What was that? Were you having
No, just how we always go on that rant about why
about
Hollywood is, but they've done it to themselves. Like they work themselves into that corner, and there's no coming out of that now. It's that whole thing of, oh, this movie was made, the budget is this, it has to make this in order to make a profit. They've made it to where shit is automatically a failure if it doesn't bust into the top 10 all-time domestic box office receipts. So fuck them. They did that to themselves.
I'm like, I hope you all like failed miserably and they just continue to bomb left and right. And, even though it's like, what does that mean for movie theaters? Like, well, if they were putting out shit everybody wanted to see, I'd support movie theaters more. But they're just, after Deadpool Wolverine, fuck you.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and we will switch over to Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 10. So if none of you have checked this out, this series out before, let me get you up to speed leading up to this. So essentially the first 9 episodes, we get the spider bite, the origin of this, but it is slightly different because he's bitten by the spider. People see it happen. Mary Jane, the people in his class, they witness it. He passes out. This kind of pulls in Norman Osborn to be like, oh, I want to keep tabs on this kid. I want to see what happens. He got bit by this spider. He gets conflicting reports of, oh, he's going to die. Oh, he's bounced back. Everything's fine. It's normal. It's stabilized. Nothing to worry about. Norman, not convinced. So he decides, inject me with this. We get his version of the Green Goblin, which, do you want to go ahead and talk about that now, or you want to save it?
Sure. Yeah, I have no problem talking about that.
All right, let's go ahead.
Greater details in a further issue or something like that, too.
No, I mean, let's go ahead and talk about that. So, as I've said, he witnesses it. Norman in this, complete, total fucking prick. Like, total asshole. And his lab blows up, and he's Green Goblin, but he's sort of this... It's when you think Green Goblin, visually, you already have that image in your brain. If you've never read Ultimate Spider-Man, this is vastly different. He's, like, super beefy, bulked up. He looks like a fucking monster. What do you think of that interpretation?
That's something too that this series does. It's back and forth. They'll either Brian Michael Bendis for one, I'm going to assume a lot of that was his input, and Mark Bagley, kind of helps get down to the actual final designs. But some of the changes to kind of like, we're going to modernize some of these looks. Some of them are pretty shitty, and some of them are pretty fucking cool. I thought this take on the Green Goblin, who's my favorite Spider-Man villain, I liked it. I dug it. Like, he does look like a actual goblin. He's very imposing, and a lot of Spider-Man fans fucking hated it, and they're not shy about it. And I get it. Like I sympathize with that, but
I do too, and I mostly agree with you. But in rereading this, because I can't remember if it was last year or at this point if it was 2 years ago,
you dove in deep, and you went.
I got like 108 issues into this thing. So going back and rereading, because I only went back and reread the first 10 here, I will say that going through that, I'm like, all right, yeah, get his emotions. I think at issue 9 and leading into 10, I think is where this book really starts to pick up to where it becomes really engaging to the fact you're like, I want to read the next one. I want to read the next one. And I think that kind of boils down to maybe just the fatigue of the origin story. But going back into that, the Uncle Ben aspect to get us to where we are here with issue 10. So a lot of what is built up in the earlier issues is just obviously Peter's the nerd. Everyone's picking on him. They're throwing food at him, all this shit. So he gets bit by the spider, passes out, wakes up. Classmates don't think much of it. He's kind of struggling internally with everything. But we also get the relationship here with how he is with Ben and Aunt May. And I've always gotten the impression in most of the other iterations that the relationship is good with both, but in this, him and May are very much kind of butting heads a good chunk, and Ben is the one that like really understands him, tries to empathize with him all the time. So we get also to he decides now that he's got his powers to get money because he does break Brock's hand.
Flash Thompson's hand.
Flash Thompson.
He's blocking a punch from him and breaks his fucking hand. Like
Flash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he breaks his hand. The whole thing is like, oh, they're gonna sue. Da, da, da. So he does the wrestling bit, starts earning the money, leaving the cash. You get the panel in the book where a guy's running away and he doesn't do anything to stop him. Like, when you stop him, he's like, eh. And this guy, I guess, is just going door to door. Anyway, he shows up at the Parker's house, shoots Ben. Peter gets there, he's gone, and then you're kind of left with that void, and then Peter and May still being very distant in where we're getting through here with this book. But he has a nightmare involving the shooting, and he remembers the dude's face, and he's decided to, because we need pictures of Spider-Man. This is where the Bugle comes into play. And it's not so much the photography aspect that he gets hired on to do, but he's going to do the computer stuff.
Yeah.
And the website stuff, because What's-Her-Face is about to burn the place down.
Yeah, she's having a hard time dealing with, which I can relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I can too. So, and it's like, how do you know all this stuff? He's like, I just do. So he's working there at the Bugle now. A relationship is starting to develop way more with him and MJ. He has the nightmare. He sees the dude's face, and he decides he's going to look up in the database at the Bugle, and it turns out he has ties to the Kingpin. So this is kind of setting the stage. Issue 9, I saved the picture on my phone. I could probably just show it off here because I was totally forgot about sending it to myself. So issue 9 ends with this image here.
Yeah.
He's still trying to understand his powers, and he's like, oh, there's that weird tingling sensation again. So it ends with Kingpin there reaching out towards him, and that kind of sets the stage. I don't know if there's anything else you would like to add to these first 10 issues.
Well, I will say too, like, because I thought about maybe the issue before, issue number 9, but then I loved, because I was buying this when it was brand new. I missed the first 2 issues because they sold out. I didn't get to start officially until issue 3 came out, and I eventually would grab the first 2 issues a little down the road. But I was buying this religiously. I remember having to go to Roanoke and get issue 3 because it was so hard to find, and I finally found issue 3, and I fell in love with it. Like there was so much hype for this ultimate branch of comics. With they were doing the X-Men, they're doing the Ultimates of the Avengers, and Spider-Man was what that's. I dabbled a little bit in X-Men, not as much. It didn't pull me in as much as Spider-Man did. I stuck with Spider-Man. I mean, well into the. I think once Mark Bagley was pulled from the book, or wasn't doing the art, because there was some storylines like, what the fuck are you thinking, Bendis, man? Like, I mean, just some really fucking stupid stuff. But I stuck with it because I love the artwork, and I'm like, okay, well, once this shit's over, we'll get on something better.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. It couldn't have hit more because we were in high school. I think I was in 11th grade at the time. So this book's coming out. It makes it incredibly relatable. To visualize, like, wanting to be, Peter going through this. Like, we all deal with assholes in school, and issue 13, when it came out, when he reveals himself to Mary, I read that book, that particular issue, more than any other issue of this line. I so many times I thought it was so. That
is probably the best book.
Yeah.
Out of it all, and it's minimal dialogue too.
It's a very short story.
It's amazing. Pun intended. We had this for Vedmon. Do you have an image of Green Goblin for reference? Yeah, I'll go ahead and pop that up here on the screen.
Yep. And that there are some other looks of him too. That's like the first big reveal, but there's some other ones where he looks very menacing.
Well, I think that this is kind of suiting for because this is kind of like the image that you get within this time span of issues that we're discussing.
Yeah, there's others where he looks even more like I wish if I could. I don't want to keep us like delayed. If there's, I'm trying to see if there was like a couple of others that I'm like are really striking images of him as the Green Goblin. And then we can kind of dive into it. But I was thinking too, like, because in the issue before this, we are officially introduced to the Kingpin. But when issue 9 was before it came out, they had the preview at the end of each issue of like what to expect. They said the Kingpin and the Enforcers. Like, oh my god, like. The Enforcers too, and I'm like, I always like the Enforcers. I love that little trio of mercenaries, that work within crime syndicates and stuff like that. I just thought they were such a fun trio. I'm like, we're gonna see them in Ultimates, and I thought it was so cool seeing their depiction in this. Like, they made Ox like this really big, muscular black dude, and they all have 3 different looks. But even now, in a modern take, Montana still has his kind of cowboy motif, Fancy Dan's in this nice suit. And Ox is wearing like this hoodie and this gold chain. He's this very hulking big black dude. And I just thought they look so great together as a visual. I was like, I was totally, and they did the same thing in Spectacular Spider-Man. Like they brought, I love the Enforcers. I love when they're used, and I was so excited. And then when they had ties to the Kingpin, I thought that's really fucking cool. And I'm like, man, this is gonna be great. So, and I'm like, we get into this, and we're seeing Parker in a very low scenario throughout this story.
Yeah,
it does not go well for him, as we're about ready to find out, as he comes across the Kingpin for the very first time here. And to set this up, he's getting cocky because he's taken out Green Goblin. He took out the Shocker, which is one of the shittiest versions of the updated supervillain. I'm like, when I saw that fucking sucks, man. Like, and I love the Shocker. I always have.
Shocker aside, there is also another one where, which it got a good laugh out of me rereading it. It's like, well, who are you supposed to be? The Vibrator?
Oh God.
Shit. What was I going to say here? I think it was in issue 9 where Peter poses the question of, and this is kind of what leads to this. Why is someone of the Kingpin stature constantly getting away with what he's doing? And it just, once again, in today's climate, resonates very well.
But that's what pretty much, I won't say he's cocky about it, but I just feel like he, not knowing a whole lot, just decides he's going to crash this party, which he has found out because in the previous issue he took on the Enforcers and their boss, who is Mr. Big / Foswell, which is a reference to the original leader of the crime lord that the Enforcers answered to in the original Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But he is clearly, wants Kingpin taken out, so he gladly hands over this information about Kingpin to Spider-Man, pretty much saying, if you're interested in taking out the Kingpin, he's holding a benefit this Friday night.
Yeah.
Spider-Man breaks a date with Mary Jane to go and sneak into the Kingpin's headquarters while the party's going on and see if he can find any information about him. Very poor choice, because even though he's new to crime fighting, he's got some experience under his belt. But dealing with
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it.
Yes,
because he's only 16 years old, but he's finally figuring out that his spider sense means that the trouble is abroad. Yes. And I love this shot. You get that good size comparison here with Spider-Man and Kingpin.
He is hulking. The Kingpin just, I love that. Kingpin's men enter the room. He's like, no, I got this.
Yeah.
And just wants to know who he is and who sent you. That's all he's interested in.
And of course, we get the wisecracks because Peter Parker, you gotta, and when you're in the suit, you gotta have the wisecrack. So Kingpin saying, "Who sent you?" Oh, in what sense? What? What do you mean? Who sent you? Carson Daly. Just to give you,
there's a dated reference for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, Carson Daly, I guess, is on the Today Show now.
He's on the Today Show, but like he was the host of MTV
TRL.
TRL, Total Request Live, So, which I hated him because I'm like, he fucking sucks. So, how this conversation ends, I was like, oh, I like, yes, Kingpin.
Yeah, this is good stuff. So he breaks out of Kingpin's grasps and is just kind of talking to him some more. And I like this. Elektra, take care of this. I have guessed Electro. And And of course, this leads to, as Tyler said, it's not Electro. And we mentioned this when you were talking about Green Goblin and you were talking about other villains, that Electro, you look at him like, this doesn't work.
See, I didn't mind Electro, even though it's because nothing's going to beat the green and yellow with the lightning bolt mask. It's a masterpiece.
But I just don't. I don't like this.
But see, I'm not going to try and defend it. Like, it worked for me when I first saw it. And I still don't mind it because, like when Dr. Octopus comes along, he looks like fucking badass. Like Dr. Octopus looks great. Kraven looks great. I'm trying to think of some of the others
you want to talk about Kraven though? I actually kind of like the portrayal of Kraven in this because he's that reality show guy.
Which I got that.
It's a good angle to take in this setting, in this climate, around this time period in 2001, 2002.
Yeah, and that he wants to do this stuff live. Like, he wants to take on like these big game hunts, like live on camera, no editing. See it, whatever it is, he wants it done live. And I did like that angle with him, even though. I like Kraven the Hunter. I think he's often I think his perspective has been changed a lot, especially since Kraven Last Hunt. But a quick thing, like, I've never liked him being a part of the Sinister Six. It has never made sense to me that a guy who takes great pride in being a big game hunter would team up with others to take out a particular prey that's like, this is the ultimate prize. Like, I have to beat this guy. I have to destroy him. And to think that Kraven would and it was just for the one iteration of Sinister Six, but then you see him referenced and stuff like that. I've never understood the idea of Kraven being a part of that group.
Side
rant, sorry.
Oh, I know you. The definition of Kraven does mean coward.
I know, which is like that, and that defines the character. He's the opposite of his name, and like, he would not team up with, even though he's teamed up with the Vulture and various others. Like, I get it. But that's a character I always see. Now, with the Chameleon, I like his ties to the Chameleon because I think they're technically brothers, I think.
Yeah.
Or there's a connection that I like. But I'm like...
Dude,
I'm getting ahead.
But I mean, this, like, I'm sorry. I know you're not defending it at all.
Yeah, no, but I didn't mind like the burn scars on his face.
The burn scars, yeah.
Like, I just, and knowing that he's essentially a mercenary, that the Kingpin is hard. Like, this whole syndicate of like the Kingpin, has Electro. He's got the Enforcers. Like, I liked this kind of syndicate that the Kingpin has set up. Because Electro will eventually show up down the road, and so will Daredevil. But I like, only thing that could have made this even better is they threw in Hammerhead. You know, I always love because he's a flat top lookalike. That'd have been awesome to see him as part of the Kingpin's.
I'm surprised they
Word.
didn't do that.
I know, and I don't think they did. It's been so long since I've read like the deep run of it, and I read every issue, every one of them, and I don't seem to recall.
I mean, dude, my deep run was a couple years ago at this point, and some of the shit pieces of it are there, like the Black Cat stuff is great.
Yeah, Black Cat stuff was good. I hated the fucking Clone Saga. Scorpion was a fucking clone. Fuck you, Bendis.
Yeah,
that fucking sucked.
The Wolverine stuff, I remember.
Yeah, because that was like the first like ultimate team up was like Spider-Man, Wolverine. They brought it. I liked it when they brought in Moon Knight, Iron Fist, and Shang-Chi.
I think that's kind of around the spot where I stopped.
Okay,
when, like those guys were brought in, but I hadn't seen it all like play out yet. So
yeah, that was cool. Daredevil gets brought. Omega Red was brought in, which I thought, holy shit! Like
maybe I just need. I'll just reread it again. It'll be fine.
I mean, I that's the thing. Reading comics, like I'm in the mood to read Ultimate Spider-Man tonight, and then like tomorrow, I'm like, you know what? I'm in the mood to read some Captain America tonight, and I'm like, I can, never stick with one book for so long because I'm like, my mood changes every day. Like, let's go back and read some Frank Miller Daredevil again, reread the same stuff over and over again. But still, it's
I'm the same way with comics and with movies. I bounce around, but go ahead as we see.
But Electro's brought in, and he's just trying to torch Spider-Man left and right, and Kingpin's like, keep it under control. This is my office here.
Yeah,
and he does take down Spider-Man, and it's definitely
pull off the mask.
And it's one of those things like this isn't one of those things like and a distraction. Spider-Man gets up and jumps out the window. No, ultimate humiliation here for Peter Parker.
And he gets the mask ripped off.
Yeah, and no one knows who he is. They say he's a kid. Like, well, fuck him. Throw him out the window. and without hesitation, I love that. Like, they don't question it. They don't want to keep him alive and ask him questions. Like, he's just a fucking kid.
Yeah, toss him out the way he got in.
Yeah, I love that. Like,
and then anything else, boss? Yes, find this Carson Daly person and destroy him.
I was like, yeah, destroy TRL. Like, oh my god, I love that. That was a great joke, I thought. But yeah, Peter is thrown out the window, wakes up just in time to catch himself, slide down the window. Very reminiscent of Rick Moranis in Ghostbusters. That's what I thought. Yeah, just slides down the window. Everyone sees it, and then they go back to the party. Like no one gave a fuck.
Yeah, they're like, what is this? It's cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, ha ha ha. We're in the 1%. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then Peter's sitting here down on himself. It's like, yeah, you stink. You suck.
Yeah, and I can't begin. I mean, we've all had our down times. Like, oh my god, why did that happen? Why did I do that? Or like that totally bombed. To fathom, like you just got the ultimate humiliation. Like you were dismissed, thrown out a window. They stole your identity, like your mask.
And you got to make a new mask.
Yeah, and they don't care. And you bombed miserably. Like you got nothing from that. Like it just shows you, like you were in the big leagues, dude. Like,
but also he's within having this inner monologue. He's like, God, someone tried to electrocute me. A guy with electric powers. Where do you get electric powers?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love his fascination with Electro and his powers too. Like that's just it's just that would be Spider-Man's MO. Like he would be asking questions during the fight. Are you a mutant? which I think it happens in the next issue, I believe, because he takes on Electro and the Enforcers again in the next issue, I believe.
And here's the point we talked about with Uncle Ben being gone and his relationship with May. Not the greatest in this iteration. So walks to the door and says, "Are you mad at me?" She says, "No." He says, "What's going on?" And she says, "Do you like me?" "Do I like you?" "Sure." "Why would you even ask such a question?" And then
very valid response from her.
Well, just because how the relationship has been thus far has been very combative the entire time. He's always, and they've made note, "Oh, you've always been such a good kid. What's going on?" And he doesn't want to talk about it. And she's always insistent on, "Oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that." And Ben was always saying, he's going through some stuff. Just let him be. It'll be fine. And now that they don't have that guard there. This is when you have these tough conversations. So she's asking here, do you like me, not as an aunt or a person who's related to you, just as a person? Do you like me as a person? He says, yeah, of course. And then she goes on to say, you're never here. You obviously have other places you'd rather be, other things to preoccupy yourself with. And he's trying to justify it because I get her perspective too, because he's wrapped up in his own little world, much like most people are, but especially when you're a teenager, and especially when you've come across this great power now that you've just sort of accidentally fell into.
And not only that, and decided, you know what, I'm going to take on organized crime and various other things that pop up. And it's that's not a normal life for any 16-year-old period. So
yeah, and she hits him with the hard statement. It's okay to say it, Peter. We're the only ones left now. This isn't the life either of us chose. This isn't the life either of us envisioned. It's just the life we seem to find ourselves with, and it's very poignant, hard hitting, very like
it gives a lot more layers to Aunt May, that she's not just the the old biddy who's like, Peter, you're gonna catch a cold. I made you some soup. Don't forget your jacket now. Like, very one note, and was for decades.
Yeah.
And I like Bendis's and I like Bagley's like portrayal of how she's illustrated, and I like Bendis's take on her. Like, she is a bit of a, in the early issues, she is a bit of a pain in the ass, and Ben is more of the but Peter butts heads with both of them because he's going through problems. He don't want to talk about it because who would believe such things?
But Uncle Ben had the ponytail, so clearly he's like
he's more hip and down with it because he's got the ponytail. Yeah.
I liked his portrayal a lot too.
I did too. And the good thing about this too, for anyone who I assume most people, if you read comics, you've read this at some point, but for anyone who hasn't, they do take their time introducing Spider-Man. Like,
yes,
the bite, and there is no suit in the first issue. Hell, there's no suit in the second issue, I can recall, because he gets in the ring with Crusher Hogan. He's just wearing a mask and all that stuff to keep his identity secret and all that stuff. And it's
not the promoter is the one that gives him the costume.
Yeah,
because he's like, you got to look the part, kid. Essentially, so
yeah, and it's essentially played off as like the kind of how the professional wrestling was at the time too. Like, there's a whole roster of wrestlers like cornering him, about
and when you think about this, with this being issue 10 and everything, because we just glossed over those other 9, that's 9 months. That's almost a year's worth of comic book just there. So yes, as Tyler said, it's a very slow build to get where we are now. And it's like I said earlier, it is a slow build to get to that point. So when you're reading it, you're like, all right, yeah, origin. When you get here, I think that this is when it really starts to excel, and it's like, all right, where are we going now?
And it just continues on, and like I
for
said,
better or for worse, because there are some trip ups along the way.
Because Bendis tries to bring in all of the hot spots from Venom to Carnage, the Clone Saga. You got the Hobgoblin showing up. You got Daredevil coming in. You got Peter at one point dates Kitty Pryde from the X-Men.
Yeah.
Shit,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's fucking hot too, man.
Yeah.
That's nothing. Bendis knows how to draw beautiful women, dude. Like,
James,
if you're hearing this, I want you to know how fucking stupid you are for ever saying Mark Bagley is a bad Spider-Man artist.
Yeah, at that point, it's like Kitty Pryde and Black Cat, right? I think there's a balance there. It's something. It's Kitty Pryde and somebody.
Yeah, which I'm like, of course, I'm just when Black Cat finds out that Spider-Man is really just a teenager.
Yeah.
I'll just say she doesn't respond the way that would make any young man feel good.
Yeah. He throws up at one point too.
That's what I was alluding to. She fucking vomits when she realizes he's just a kid.
Yeah. But back into this serious moment here. Peter saying, I love you. And then they have that embrace. And I think one thing that I appreciate about these comics around this time period a lot too, and it would go to follow, is word bubble wise, it's not a ton of word exposition and word vomit, which I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all, but it is kind of nice to just let the images speak for themselves.
That's how good this series is, because even though you have a little bit of maybe you got some exposition like through narrative dialogue of the character thinking to themselves, these books you can fly through because there's a panel, one bubble, two bubbles, next panel, one bubble, two or three panels later, no word bubbles at all. It's all you know.
You can go through but I'll ask this, because you were reading these issues when they were new. Was that frustrating reading them new at the time? Because you're like, oh, I got to wait another month now.
Oh yeah, because I would get these, especially when I was subscribed to it. I would burn through it in no time, like that, and the other stuff.
Like 10 minutes, if that.
Probably less than that, because if they were really good, I'm like, oh my god, fuck, you know. And back then, there was a shit ton of ads in these books.
Yeah.
I mean, there were ads for, not just movies, but for a variety of other things. Oh my god, like there's so many fucking ads in these books.
Yeah.
Like $3-4 a piece. I'm paying for all these damn ads, and I don't give a shit about any. I'm not buying their product. Give me some more story.
So Peter and Mary were supposed to have this date.
Yep. And it's been moved to Saturday.
Yeah. And it's Saturday morning now, and Peter's saying, Al, seriously, Al. And Kingpin had crushed his web shooters.
Yep.
And his wrist, probably, almost. It's funny. I mean, it's not surprising that he would have a copy of Atlas Shrugged on his stand. You remember having phones like this?
Very much so. I remember having plenty of conversation with you on a phone like that.
Yeah. I don't remember hardly any of those at all, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, there were quite a few, like, just long phone calls about just random stuff, typically, or talking about movies or things we're excited about, or just life in general,
Of course, him and Mary Jane have their little back and forth. It's brewing. It was, and that's the other thing. You don't really get as much of that in the first couple of issues either. Like, she's merely observing him and watching him get picked on. It's not until probably issue 3, mostly, that they start to embark on having a conversation.
But she's already established as a buddy of his from the very first issue. Like, it's not like, and she's already hot to begin with, but she is seen as like a girl that everyone likes, but she likes Peter, like there's an attraction already. It's not like, we're going to have like puny Parker. He's going to, meet Betty Brant. That falls through. Aunt May's like, oh, well, I got someone that you love to meet. And Ann Watson's, granddaughter, like, you really need to meet her. Like, oh my God. Like, and there's nothing like that. And I like that you get to know. And I feel like this is kind of what the Sam Raimi Spider-Man pulled from, is that Mary Jane is already in the picture, that they've known each other for a long time already.
Yeah.
And I was fine with this take on the character, not in the Sam Raimi movies, because they fucking suck. But
well, I was gonna say, when the Sam Raimi movie is in production, or this is around the same time this book is coming out, so obviously it's kind of the synergy between.
Yeah, there is a connection there, but there's something that I felt like this movie. I mean, these books, I just felt like the dialogue was more superior than how the characters were portrayed in the same range, especially the first one.
I mean, that's easier to do in comic book form than it is in a movie. I just feel like
all the high school stuff is like, this is so fucking lame. Like, there's no, they're again, which is a problem I think with a lot of those early Superman movies. They try to jam so much shit, so many important characters into one movie, and there's no time to flesh them out or even kind of give them a little time to breathe.
Right.
And they're done very poorly, Like, I didn't like Flash Thompson, who's played by what's his name, who played Deathstroke in the more recent DC portrayals.
Joe Manganiello or whatever.
Yeah, like
he probably butchered.
He fucking sucks as Flash Thompson. Harry Osborn plays James Franco. He fucking sucks too. It's just everyone sucks. Even if Tobey Maguire looked the part, I just and Kirsten Dunst playing Mary Jane, that she looked the part, but
I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out on a limb, because there was always Toby got hurt, and there was Jake Gyllenhaal was potentially going to play him. I kind of think I would have preferred Gyllenhaal over Maguire.
I think Jake, even though I'm not a fan of Jake, but I think he would have done a pretty good job. I think at the time, because I think Toby's Spider-Man dialogue is very stale. It's very flatline. You can't. It's not very believable as like a wisecracking, Spider-Man. Like he's just very kind of one note. It's like he just speaks like he always talks.
He always sounds like he's sad.
Yeah, even when he's Spider-Man, like it's very. That's what Andrew Garfield got right.
It's like a fucking Seabiscuit, man.
Yeah. It just doesn't work, and I still think Willem Dafoe could have been an awesome Green Goblin, but just not that version of the Green Goblin. No.
Right.
But
what's wrong? Oh, I'm not doing so hot. You're not doing good. Can we blow off tonight? It's like, oh shit, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I really like this page right here. We get the phone cord going down the middle of the page and split it off. Yeah. Are you serious? I'm really not doing well. What's wrong? I'm just you don't even want to rent a movie? Like, come on,
like
Peter.
she's
come
even
on.
giving like. You can't help but feel like Peter. Okay, look, get it together, man. Like, she's just
lay back and hold her and watch a movie and fall asleep. That's all you got to do, man. And he's fucking up.
Look, this is Saturday morning. You got all day to rest, recuperate. You got time. Like, say you want to get together 8 tonight, 9 tonight. It's Saturday night. I'm like, I'd have been like, Peter, what the fuck are you doing, man?
yeah, fine, bye. And he's like,
yeah. Yeah, this is not good. But this here is built, and the tears in her eyes, like she's genuinely hurt by this. And I liked it because once we get the resolution to this, which is one of the best issues of the entire series, if not the best, I think, which we just talked about.
Yeah,
it is well 13. Worth the payoff.
Yeah, maybe that honestly, that's something maybe we should cover.
I came this close to picking it, but I was like, you know what? If for any of our listeners who I would rather show something that had a little bit more action to it as opposed to, even though it's like, God, it's like
it's so good.
Best. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And when you see the cover like kind of spoils it for you. You're like, are they really gonna do this? Like,
well, no, that's the beauty of this whole thing. Going back to just, oh, he's unmasked. Oh, he's just a kid. Throw him out the window. It's kind of breaking all of those norms. So when you get to that issue 13, you see the cover, all right, are they gonna go through it? And they fucking do it. And the balls to do that early on, especially. But I guess at this point in this time period, it's like, why not do that? We've already had the story, and why keep that going for so long? Why not?
And it's happened before, even like his earliest run, like Dr. Octopus and Mask, like, it's a fucking kid.
Yeah.
You're not Spider-Man. So it's playing off of that. But I feel like, too, why not play around with that? Like, I get pissed off when they do it in movies all the time, but I get why they do it. They're doing it for dramatic effect for the general audience. But in this, though, I feel like I really liked the idea that even though he's unmasked by the Kingpin, Norman Osborn knows who he is right from the get-go.
Yep.
But to really pull in someone in Peter's really small circle of people that he cares about and say, this is who I am. A little over a year after the book's been running, you think, wow, that's kind of like, but the good thing about this is 13 issues in, he's fought the Green Goblin, he's fought the Shocker, he's taken on Kingpin and the Enforcers, and he's gone through a lot of shit at school. So a lot does happen in 12 issues leading up to the epic 13th issue. And it was fucking magic, dude, when that came out, man. I was just like, God, I wish that was me. That's what I thought.
But he says here, can't help it, Mary Jane. I wouldn't have been good company today anyway. I got to heal. And I got to make a new mask.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So I get that. And I love this here. Like the meeting of Kingpin and his entire, syndicate here. And we get the Enforcers, Electro, some associates, and Foswell here. And just, pretty much pointing like, this is unacceptable. And, Foswell decides to be a little ballsy and start kind of criticizing the way Kingpin's been running things right in front of everybody.
Yeah. And you can see the looks on their faces too.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God. Like,
It seems to me that maybe you've elevated yourself above all us common thugs. It's a wonder you even bother with us anymore at all. Word is that you can't bother to get your hands dirty no more.
Like, of all people to fucking say that to, man, like that.
I mean, just like the balls, man. Like, look at that. Yeah, like, that's what you're looking at right there.
Like, what the fuck makes you think this was a good idea at all?
So then Kingpin's like, time to pick a side, boys.
And it makes the enforcers like hold their boss.
Yeah.
As Kingpin walks forward, takes his hat and puts the mask on him. And oh my god! And proceeds to crush his fucking skull.
I only get my hands dirty when I really, really want to do it
myself. I like that's the Kingpin, man.
And then you get everybody looking at him.
Yeah, from Ox to Electro. You know, everyone's watching, and the Kingpin's smiling, and just the cutaway shot from outside his tower.
Yeah,
as the head's being crushed. So it's, oh my god, it's fucking glorious.
Yeah.
It's so fucking that was the sequence. So I'm like, okay, that's the one we need to cover. Like, I really want people who have not read this to like see.
It was better that you picked this one over issue 9, I think, because issue 9.
It's a good setup.
It's a good setup, but we got to have the execute. We got to have.
Yeah, I'm like that's the moment. Like, yeah, they're not pulling any punches here, people.
So we get Sunday morning. The body has floated up in the river, and now the news has caught wind of this.
And seeing the body discovered with Spider-Man's mask, and and we get we get to see Captain Stacy here,
and putting it together with the FBI reporting an encounter between this person known as Spider-Man and the late Mr. Big as late as Wednesday. One has to wonder what this bizarre turn of events means. So putting it out there to the general public, and of course, Stacy's like, what do you get the fuck out of here?
Yeah. And of course, Peter's having breakfast and
with a Ja Rule t-shirt on, by the way. I want to point that out.
Ass up, like the fuck your girl in the middle of the line, put it in your butt. I just I only saying that because Nathan would sing that and make me laugh. So I'm like,
that's on his album. Go check it out.
I'm just honoring what Nathan used to sing all the time, making fun of
hang on, I'll look it up so you guys can get the. I'm not gonna play it, but I'll tell you guys the track.
Yeah. Here. But Nathan used to sing this and dance to it, like he was like, I'm knee deep in bitches and stuff like it. It was just funny as hell to watch Nathan dance to that. Oh my god! I'm telling you, Nathan was a comedic genius and still is.
Wait, no. Oh yeah, so this would have been like his 2000 record, right? Yeah, I'll fuck you, girl. That's the name of the skit. Go look that up. It's on his 2000 album, Rule 336.
Which he was popular at that time, so
there you go. That's the skit. You look it up, and that'll tell you everything you need to know there. It just God, like it's like all right for the time period, I guess.
Yeah.
Peter inner monologuing here. No, I was wrong. Them taking my mask wasn't the worst thing that could happen to a superhero. This is the worst thing that could happen, because now we're putting it out there more, because it's also been established too that Peter has a conversation with Jameson, just being like, hey, the stories that you are printing in the Bugle paint him out to be the bad guy. Do you think that that's a little bias? Like, there's probably more to that, right? And of course, Jameson being Jameson, which at this point too, we haven't really touched on that. Jameson's he's only popped up just a very small amount.
He's very, very small amount, but he's he's portrayed the way he always is. I mean, he's there's a one shot in the previous issue where he's like knocking Peter's photos and he sees one.
Yeah,
and he looks back at Joe Robertson and smiles like, "Yeah, this is our cover photo we got here." Like,
yeah, he's like, crap. Oh, we have one here. It's like, $50.
Yeah, well, it definitely doesn't want, like, he knows what he's got here, but he's never gonna sell the fact that, boy, I'm gonna give you, top dollar for this. Like, no, I'll give you a few bucks for this. You know?
So here we are, Monday morning at Midtown High School, and this was also the beautiful thing, and also very poignant to today's times. In this panel here, we're talking about the Nixon tapes, but an issue or two prior to that, they're talking about tariffs, and I'm like, oh hey, yeah, let's educate the public on tariffs. And I'm like, it's fun to read that back then and seeing how they're talking about it and talking about the trickle down economics and all that other bullshit that didn't work. And I'm like, yes. We won't get into that though. So the teacher is discussing the Nixon tapes. And this kind of just falls into the background because we have Peter staring off.
And Liz Ellen being a basket case. You know, she's fed up with Spider-Man talk, and she's still shaken from the Goblin attacking the high school, looking for Peter, which happened a few issues back.
And we should. I want to make mention here. What's his name? Is it Kong?
Kong, yeah.
I like him a lot because he's a big supporter of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not obviously not knowing what the deal is.
And I liked it. The switch it, whereas the original premise is like Flash Thompson is like the biggest prick to Peter, but he's Spider-Man's biggest supporter. Like well into adulthood, he is all about Spider-Man, and they switch it here, and he's just a prick. And Kong is the big, even so much to where it's like, I'm pretty sure Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Like, no fucking way, man. Yeah.
He eventually puts the pieces together. It's pretty cool.
But then Peter has to be wise to that, and like, oh God, I have to do this.
But going back to what you were talking about with the time period this book coming out, we were also in high school at the time, and seeing this stuff it really does bring me back to that time period of being in class, the lectures going on about whatever it may be for the day, but being so preoccupied in my mind with whatever else is going on and like our drama stuff with other people.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it was, and just tuning that out. It's very much like this. You could have taken this panel, not even had so much, like maybe done something different with the word bubbles to make it look like it's just existing around you, but no one's paying attention to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we get this, and then once again, we're building up to that issue 13.
Yes, this is what we're seeing right now is that she's attempting to communicate with Peter. She knows something's up with him, and she just wants to know what's going on. As the conversation in class is still kind of
as the teacher is still teaching the lesson on the Nixon tapes. It's what. I'm sorry, about Saturday. He's been listening to too much Ja Rule, maybe. Saturday. You better be, and cross that, I'm serious. And then they look at each other. Oh, yeah. Still looking. Teacher's still going on about these Nixon tapes. But also, she makes a good point. Nixon was a paranoid man. And and I love how this is.
It's like poetry, so that it rhymes here.
It's weaved right into exactly what Peter's going through right now. Nixon was a paranoid man, not without reason. Of course, the man certainly had enemies in this world. But therein lies the question, doesn't it? Why would a man so paranoid about his enemies, who was so involved with questionable dialogue and activity, record his every move? Anyone?
And Peter just reminisces about the camera. And the Kingpin records everything that's in that building. And then Peter thinks to himself, because he thinks he's untouchable.
And then the teacher's like, exactly, yes, very good, Peter. Shit. Like, and then that's how it ends.
Yeah, that sets up like, okay, what's Peter gonna do? And like, he's not done with the Kingpin.
Yeah.
And just think about that. Like, he knows the Kingpin records everything. What did we see in this issue? Every building in the Kingpin's has got a camera in it.
My identity.
Yeah. His identity, but also, what did the Kingpin do?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's not done, and it's a great battle in the building because I'll just say he takes on the Enforcers, Electro, and Kingpin all in the same issue.
And
Pretty fucking solid.
That's why you got to go check it out. If you have
Yeah.
not read any of these, we highly recommend it that you give it a read. Yes, it's not perfect. It does have its flaws. It does,
Yeah.
as we said earlier, it trips on itself along the way, and some stuff doesn't get the time that it deserves. If I'm being honest, they probably could have taken more time with some of the shit and arcs. A lot of it just is like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's like you talked about. Bendis was wanting to just bring everything in there, and he really should have taken the time to flesh a little more of it out.
That and some I just, you know, like the take on Venom, the take on Carnage,
Yeah.
Hobgoblin, like I was just like, ugh, like
Yeah,
it's like
I was
just,
too.
I just didn't think he got those characters and just kind of made them what everyone how they portrayed now is just these mindless symbiote blobs, and they're just, you know, all over the place. Like people just didn't seem to quite grasp the concept.
Yeah.
Even though Bagley's artwork is consistently fucking good, A plus 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 through every issue. Oh my god! All right,
No,
James.
no.
I'm not saying the designs, or if that's what you're implying.
Yeah, and maybe that's kind of what it more boils down to with, and we've talked about this before, eons ago when we did the Punisher issue. I think during this time period, they were really wanting to just do something different with the art, and and asking their artist, hey, this is what we're kind of going for with that. And I get it, but some of the stuff, even as we saw here on the screen, some of that stuff is not particularly detailed. And that also goes back to the point that I think that the story going in is stronger enough to kind of anchor the art.
And that's why I feel like, and again, not every villain is a complete full makeover.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Octopus is the next big villain to show up. And I loved how he looked. He's muscular, he's lean, the tentacles look amazing on him. And the reason for him having glasses too, like they play into that, even though he's introduced as someone who works at Oscorp.
Yeah. And it is involved directly in that explosion.
Yes.
Too. So that's kind of the antithesis of what kind of builds.
Yeah. And he's a mean son of a bitch too. Like he's, you know, he's not to be taken lightly. Like when Gwen Stacy is introduced, I liked her reinterpretation that she's not like this kind of
she's an outcast, right?
She's an outcast. I won't say she's not goth, but she's
close.
She's in that realm, but she's not dressed in black, painted.
No. She's just
fishnet shit.
No, she's just very very independent.
Yes,
and not
and tough. You don't fuck with her.
Yeah, and she doesn't partake, like she doesn't care as much to be cliquey stuff. She's like her own individual person.
Yeah, and she ends up having a different kind of relationship with Peter.
Yeah,
and just as Mary Jane and Peter are starting to really dig in deep and having an actual thing.
Yeah,
Gwen has a situation, and you know, well, I'm not going to spoil that.
Yeah,
but
it pulls you in. I think. Yeah, this is the good starting point.
Yeah, all of the Peter stuff and the Spider, everything he goes through is always relatable. It's always fun. It's just some of the, like I said, when they decide to bring in, you know, and I blame Bendis on this. You know, I was so mad when, you know, the Scorpion shows up and it's like, oh my god, it's a fucking clone of Peter. This is so fucking stupid. What are you doing, man? Like,
spoilers. Come on, man.
I don't fuck that, because you know what? It's not good. I don't care if I spoil it because it's not good. Like, that's one of those things. Like, you know, to not have like J. Jonah Jameson, that not have ties to the creation of the Scorpions. Like, dude, that's you can't have that. Like, that's just one of those. You must have him. That was the thing I liked and didn't like about the follow up to Spider-Man's life story, which was the annual, which it was like having J. Jonah Jameson get his comeuppance for all the things he was tied to Spider-Man, like from the creation of the Spider Slayers, the Scorpion, and various other things. Like he's the Fly, I think.
Yeah.
I think was in that issue. But he's connected to the creation of all these things to help fight Spider-Man. But they're all criminal. It's all criminal activity, and he's never given his comeuppance. So in that annual, the police, I think it's Captain Stacy, Gwen Stacy's father's like starting to put things together. And we talked to Matt Gargan, the Scorpion. He's starting to lay out these things like we're starting to put some stories together, and you seem to be associated with a variety of, and I was just like, this makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to have them like, wait a second here. J. Jonah Jameson has financed the Spider Slayers on more than one occasion, helped the creation of one of our super criminals, and the man just continues to just fly under the radar, like no big deal. It's not. He thinks Spider-Man's a criminal, but nothing he's doing is like. I thought that, but it ends so shitty. Like I hated how that annual ended, but it was such a great idea.
Yeah,
you know, I thought this is really fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that whole thing is very solid.
Yeah, I went back and reread Life Story a few months ago and enjoyed the hell out of that. That was a lot of fun.
Going through the decades of Spider-Man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a modern book that I highly recommend to anyone who likes comics or if you love Spider-Man too, because it is a big love letter to the Spider-Man mythology from the '60s all the way to modern day. Yeah, good stuff.
Check it out. Check out Ultimate Spider-Man. Get your account. Go read it, or you can. I think that they got.
I don't think you can get individual issues. I don't think they're.
It's cheap. It's cheap.
Yeah.
Or I want to say they have an omnibus that you can get here.
They were doing trade paperback volumes for years. That shouldn't be hard to come by either.
Yeah. Just go pick those up and read them and check it out. And check out Ja Rule's Rule 336 for that fuck you girl skit.
I'm gonna use the John real quick.
All right. Well, while Tyler is doing that, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. We'll take a couple and we'll go ahead and bounce out of here. Because I guess I'll go sit down and check out that Mike Tyson fight. Which no one get your hopes up about that. It's a work. Like it's an exhibition. They're gonna work. Unless Tyson decides to just which I guess that's what people are banking on, that he's just gonna go off script and do what Tyson used to do. But I don't think that's gonna happen. They're all getting paid way too much money for that to go down. Just trying to think too if there was, I don't know, maybe I'll rent Lost Highway digitally and see if I like it enough to pick up the Criterion on sale at Barnes and Noble, because I think there is a couple of them, not the local one that we have, but further away. Maybe I'll go ahead and pick that up. We may not get any questions. I said we might take one or two and go ahead and bounce. But going back to our movie conversation, is there anything you're looking to check out this week? Did you pick up the Terminator on 4K? I've heard mixed shit about it because Cameron's fucking all those up.
No, I didn't know it was available to buy just yet.
It's out now.
Okay. Well, I bought True Lies and I bought Aliens, but I've yet to sit. I watched True Lies a while, and that seemed fine, I think.
Fine enough. Well, but that's also the thing too, is with True Lies, especially because DVD was the only other thing available. Right?
Yeah, there was no Blu-ray.
So you can kind of give that.
But. Yeah, I never did sit down to watch the Aliens 4K just yet. I just bought it because I wanted to have it. But
you talk about movies. It's going to be my turn to go to the bathroom.
Okay. With Terminator, I'm gonna have to look up what people are complaining about, because I've got it on Blu-ray. If it's gonna be, the sound mix has already been changed, before. So, once I read and kind of look up like what he fucked with, which I'm like, God, he's getting as bad as Spielberg. Well, maybe not as bad as Spielberg, but like why he decides that he just needs to go back and change, or just how the film looks, and I really just. All these modern day, all these great directors that we all used to revere, I'm like, they've all become assholes. They don't make quality movies anymore. They just continue to make, pretentious bullshit, or just stuff that just, they're just blowing themselves. I think that's all Cameron's been doing. God, he hadn't made anything good since True Lies. I mean, fuck Titanic, fuck the Avatar movies. and it's just a big waste. I feel like Spielberg hasn't done shit either, but or Oliver Stone or Martin Scorsese, but it's neither him or Ridley Scott. There's another one had done shit. But yeah, I'll just once I read the reviews on that, I'll just decide. I'll pass and just keep the Blu-ray.
Oh well, the review for it is up on Blu-ray.com right now.
Okay, I'll check it out because I'm trying to constantly upgrade what I can. I'm actually looking to like maybe pull the trigger on the Spectacular Spider-Man Blu-ray into that way and just have that set and get rid of all the
rid of the DVDs.
Yeah. Because I know that would look good on Blu-ray too. So that's like $40 on Amazon right now. So it's one of the things I've got in my back. I'm just contemplating what to buy.
I did pick up. It'll be here tomorrow. I did pick up the Street Fighter 2 animated movie on 4K.
Oh, it's in 4K.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I gotta put that in my basket now too.
$25.
Yeah.
Blow
I need to get Amazing Spider-Man in 4K too.
No, I mean we can talk about that. I like that first movie a lot.
Oh, first one fucking rocks, man. That is my Spider-Man movie. Second one has moments of good stuff, but it's a fucking disaster.
Like it's a shame. Like I really enjoyed Andrew Garfield.
Oh, he is Spider-Man to me. He is the definitive Spider-Man.
And I liked him a lot in the No Way Home stuff.
He was the best part about No Way Home, and I really had hoped that as much money as that movie made, people were like, "Oh my god!" Like they were so glad to see Tobey and Andrew back. That Sony would have maybe one time have a good idea and say, "You know what? Yeah. Let's give everyone a sequel to these other Spider-Man that seem to be quite popular with people instead of making another fucking Craven movie. Oh, let's make a Black Cat movie. Oh, let's make how about we make a Betty Brant movie? Like." You people stop trying to make movies about characters that don't work without Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Fucking morons. A Craven movie with Kick-Ass in it. Fuck all of them.
Fedmon asking, are we talking about the original Terminator movie? Maybe that's something you and I should probably just go ahead and do on a Friday at some point.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if you get the 4K too, especially you can really see Arnold's dong and high def.
Flopping around.
Yeah. It was God, where did I see that at? It was somewhere. Someone was talking about the 4K. I looked up on the forum reviews, and someone was like, "Yeah, man, you really could see his penis real good in this." And someone's like, "Wait, what? I've never noticed that before." Like, how have you?
I forgot. Maybe it was on DVD because I never noticed anything like that until like I think I was watching it with my brother, and we're like, "Oh my god, he's just flopping around right there." Like it's like the shadows, like you felt it covered up, so you never.
Yeah, yeah, but in high def, you really see it.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you just flop, Yeah. But I just like, man, if he's like fucks with the sound mix again, or he's like it goes in oversaturates people's faces and makes them look super soft and shit, and I don't know. I just wish these guys would stop fucking around with the movies, man.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you to go ahead and pick it up because it has a digital code with it, and you can go ahead and send that to me. Yeah. And I'll totally do that if you.
Of course you will. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, fuck it. We will go ahead and we'll call this a show. Once again, we highly recommend it to go ahead and check out. If you haven't given it a chance and you've been on the fence for this long, much like I was about like David Lynch movies and everything, check out Ultimate Spider-Man. Whichever way you can, whichever way you want to do it, just read them, give it a chance, and see if you enjoy these makeovers and redos and kind of alterations to certain scenarios that we've come to know and love for all these years.
Yeah, there's some good ones, but they're all, like as we said before, there's some ones that just fall flat on their face, and you're like, what the fuck are you thinking? But Bart Bagley's artwork is like he's got the longest stretch on any book for an artist. Him and Bendis have got the longest tag team. I think they beat was it Stan Lee and Romita? I think it was like the longest stretch of a writer and artist like on a book, and they wanted to break the record, and they did it. They go well past 100 issues together. So the artwork is consistent, whether you like the designs of the characters that show up. There's some good ones, like Silver Sable will show up, and I'm trying to think of some of the others that pop up. Like the X-Men look good but they're also using the Ultimate look, but they still look quite good. So God, like part of me would like to go back and just like read the Daredevil stuff, the one where the Heroes for Hire show up, Iron Fist and Shang-Chi.
We need to at some point on this show cover either Brubaker's Captain America or some Daredevil stuff, because I really like Brubaker Captain America.
He does really good on Captain America. Yeah, that was something I was actually like. I read the first issue of his run, and then I jumped over to something else because my intention was to read all the way up through Winter Soldier showing up, and I'm like, oh, I get distracted.
The Captain America stuff's really good.
Yeah, it's exceptional. The artwork's good in it, and it's very moody and dark and just good serious shit. And back when you could say modern books were like, well, they got people who care and people who can draw and not people who are fucking cheap and don't have a fucking idea in their head. And kind of like what Marvel's doing right now. And,
oh my god.
Yeah, I'll shut up.
It's fine. It's funny that we always keep going back to that like a bunch of old grumps.
Well, you know what? God knows there is tons of videos all over YouTube and the internet where people are just praising the shit out of the new stuff.
I don't seek it out, but that's just me.
I don't either. But I'm like, when I'm hungry for comic book content to just listen to when I'm eating or I'm driving or something, just something to listen to, there's never anything good. Ever. It's just, here's my top 10 list of this. Here's the origin of this. And it's just
I don't think you're looking in the right places, maybe.
Oh, it's just, there's never like a good discussion of people sit around talking about what makes this a great villain. What makes this a great run on this book? Why does this character matter so much? It's just people like, here's my idea of what you should read. Like, no, here's my idea.
I mean, I don't know. What are you, some kind of redneck or something?
Yeah. Where's my camo hat with the fish hook on top?
I mean, you already got that logo on your chest.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm taking it back. This is the classic Punisher.
No, that is the dumb fuck rednecks around here use the Thomas Jane logo.
Shit, and they don't know any better or any difference because they're fucking morons.
Yeah, I do. You know how many times I just want to grab them and shake them and just be like, "Do you even know what this character represents?" Of course you don't. You just think guns and stuff. You dumb fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, and Punisher too. Like that's something else. Like we need to like dabble in some of the War Journal stuff, going back to some of the Garth Ennis stuff with Steve Dillon.
Man, I'm the one that's been like, we should do more comics. You're like, what do you think about this movie? I'm like, all right, yeah, fine. That's
Well, all right. Well, maybe next week we can do another comic book discussion if we work.
Are we gonna keep it Marvel? We've been pretty Marvel biased on this show.
It's I remember a while back I read some Batman stuff too, but I'm like, I just love Marvel.
Marvel Marvel overall is superior. That's my opinion. I think you agree with that. But
I've been Team Marvel since I was a kid.
DC's got good shit. I was Team DC as a kid. I fucking loved Batman as a kid. Granted, the Batman '89 had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, me too.
But character-wise, Marvel shit is just better.
Yeah, I'm just drawn to, even though I love Superman, I love Batman, love the Flash, Green Lantern, list goes on and on. But the Marvel heroes, like I'm just drawn to them from, the X-Men, Spider-Man, of course, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Captain America, Daredevil, Punisher.
For me, like Daredevil's probably top for me.
He's all right. I know we're trying to hit it, but I'm like just for fun and no particular order. Give me your top 5 Marvel heroes.
Well, Daredevil will be number 1. Okay. Number 2, it's not singular, but Fantastic Four.
Okay.
3 would be Spider-Man. 4 would be Punisher.
Okay.
5. Number 5 is kind of tough. Let me kind of go into my history here on my Unlimited app to kind of see. Because, like, I really like Brubaker's Captain America, but if I'm going with Captain America just as a whole, I don't know if that fits top 5.
Well, if you think his portrayal of Cap is like what would put him over the top because of how well you like how he's written, in his run.
Probably Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider #5.
Okay, cool, badass dude. Good lineup.
I would ask you yours, but I think at this point everyone already kind of knows, right?
Probably so. There's no surprise to what's in my top 5 anyway.
Yeah.
It's more about picking your brain about it because we've never had that discussion about what your top 5 would be.
Well, I was gonna say when it comes to DC stuff, I kind of lean more towards like your Batman, Swamp Thing, Deadman, that kind of stuff. Like Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, they're good, but they're not something that I gravitate more towards. I like the Justice League dark concept is intriguing to me, like Swamp Thing, Constantine, that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, same thing with Marvel. Like a good chunk of that is street level.
Yes.
So I'm not.
Because I've never been about the cosmic. I like Silver Surfer.
I like that stuff too. Better Ray Bill, yes.
Better Ray Bill's bad. Yeah.
Better Ray Bill's badass, but the street level stuff's kind of mostly where I'm at.
I find them more relatable. It's easy to want to envision yourself as Daredevil or Spider-Man or Wolverine or the Punisher.
And for the most part, Iron Fist, their stories are scaled down.
They're more grounded. They're not cosmic. They're not they're not dealing with end of the world stuff. It's dealing with crime, organized crime and various gangs and even people like Spider-Man deal with characters like the Scorpion, the Chameleon.
Yeah.
They are street level villains, very formidable villains, but they're not like a Doctor Doom or a Galactus kind of thing.
And Johnny Cox saying here, I love Darkhawk until he went to space. New Warriors, man. Like I love teams, and then having New Warriors, they are very street level esque and grounded to a degree. So I gravitate more towards that stuff because they have to rely more on the human element. It's not so much power based all the time.
Even though like some of them are just highly trained. Some of them do have like Daredevil has enhanced senses, and he's a fucking ninja.
Yeah,
but he's still street level. Like he's not going to take on a Galactus battle. Like I think about that one issue in that John Byrne story of the Fantastic Four where Galactus is attempting to consume Earth again. This is when Terrax was his herald. And the Avengers, Doctor Strange, and the Fantastic Four, and like Daredevil and Spider-Man, like are looking on. They're like, "There's nothing we can do to help out with this."
Yeah.
And I love that they recognize like, nah, this isn't our fight. Like they're there to be an observer and help if they're needed.
Yeah.
But they realize like this is beyond what we can do. And I like that that's a fair acknowledgement of those characters, though.
It is. No, I had a deep sigh just now just because they released the official synopsis for the Fantastic Four film that's going to take place in the 60s.
Which I know Galactus and the Silver Surfer, which I feel like is too much for one film already. But
and that's going to be the main focus is Galactus and Silver Surfer. So I guess they're going to just kind of take the pages.
Oh. So is that right, Feige? You're going to honor the source material and not try and be like the James Gunn?
Can we talk about this too before we go ahead and wrap it up? It hasn't been officially released yet, but I sent you that leaked. Someone took a video of it of the Daredevil Born Again trailer.
Yes. I went back and rewatched it again after you sent that to me. Yeah,
and it's.
I'm afraid to admit that. It looked good, but it's fucking Disney still.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I hope this is the first step.
Please turn it around.
Turn it around and stop being so fucking pussified on everything. Stop pushing the comedy down our throats. You can take some of this shit seriously. That's what made the first season of Daredevil so fucking compelling. The best thing we've ever gotten in the modern era of movies.
What sucks is they talk it up like it's just going to be like that. I'm like, well, I fucking hope you're right, but I'm also not going to hold my breath.
No, I'm not either. And even though you're telling me the Punisher's going to be in it, you're bringing back, Karen Page, you're bringing back Foggy Nelson, and Kingpin's going to be in it. Bullseye's in it. Like a lot of good stuff you're telling us here, but I'm like, I'm not convinced that Disney is willing to pull the trigger on keeping these characters true to what Netflix was setting up with these characters.
Right.
And I'm not talking about Punisher in his own solo series because that sucked balls. And oh my god, it's like you guys don't know what the fucking Punisher is. You guys just want to tell about a guy who comes home from the war. That's all you guys are interested in. Fuck you. And make a Jigsaw just a guy with a couple of cuts on his face. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Just
I kind of,
but
I need to. Speaking of that, because I haven't watched it in forever, I need to revisit it just to see how I feel about it now. I need to watch the Ray Stevenson R.I.P. Punisher Warzone, just because
bits and pieces of it.
It's over the top, but I'm like, yeah, you kind of need that a little bit, I guess.
I don't know, but then I think about like, what?
No, I got one. Jaime Mares. What about Cobra Kai? Tyler and I were talking about this before we went live. I watched. I watched half of the. It's listed as episode 6 of season 6, because that's what this is season 6 just broken up into 3 pieces. And Tyler said he's gonna sit down and watch it all tomorrow.
It'll all be done tomorrow, just like the first batch was, and it was pretty fucking disappointing, to say the least. And we were planning to talk about it, but I ended up going to the beach like when right after it dropped, and we just never I think both of us were just kind of like, well,
It was.
I wasn't happy with it in the grand scheme of things. I was not.
In the grand scheme of things, a little disappointing, but could have been worse, and also kind of expected, because you and I were thinking about this a lot. It's like, all right, where's the story going to go? We were thinking about this like 3 seasons ago. Where are they going to go from here? Where are they going to go from here? And it would build and build, and we're like, yeah. And now it's kind of reached its apex, and it's for the best that this is going to be the final season.
Well, I almost felt like, it didn't need to be 15 episodes. I wonder if those things at Netflix, like, no, we'll stretch this thing out. Fill it up with whatever you want. We got to have 15 episodes here.
Probably.
But because of what we got in season 5, which was like, oh my God, how the fuck do you top this? And even the idea of another tournament, which we've gotten 2 tournaments already. They were both very well done, thoroughly enjoyed. Now we're going to the Sekai Tai, like, it's going to be characters we
Kai Tai or
whatever the fuck.
We always fuck it up.
Yeah, but I'm like, it's like we're going to be introduced to heels/villains that we really don't know much about, and we're going to be forced to like think that they're awesome and badass, and the threat to our core cast of characters. Like, we do have, Johnny and Carmen are expecting a baby. Miguel and Robbie are supposed to be working on their friendship. And they're forcing all of this unnecessary drama in those first 5 episodes that feel like we got everybody moving forward. Let's take them about 10 steps back and repeat the shit that we've done many seasons ago as we're trying to wrap this thing up. And it makes them all look, okay,
stupid.
It makes everyone from Johnny to Daniel to Mr. Miyagi it's just like, why are we doing this?
But at this point, because halfway through episode 6, episode 1 of part 2, whatever, you do get more of kind of the same in a different setting. I know it's a put off, and she was the same way watching it. She's like, okay. It's like, but I'm so invested in all of these characters at this point that
that's what's so disheartening of where they're going with this.
I get it, but we got to stick through the ride and just hope that they stick the landing. They may not, but it's great that we've gotten this far before we started feeling this way too.
But I just feel like when you get everybody to the point where you're like, how the hell are these characters going to come to terms with each other and become and bury the hatchet, or learn that, they're not as bad as I thought they were, and yet we're going to reset all that for the sake of stretching this shit out.
But I was telling Emily when we were watching it, it seems stupid when you're watching it as an adult, but we went through similar shit as teenagers. I know I certainly did, going through the different cliques with the backyard wrestling shit that I was doing back then. It's very much, we're all turning on each other constantly. So
yeah, but some of it just feels like, okay,
sure,
these characters had jumped sides to the point where, like, look, I can't defend it to anyone who thinks this is too much because even
Yeah,
I'm
right.
thinking this is too much.
Right. But it's also entirely possible because I've been in that scenario before.
But see, okay, that I can understand. But these characters are not given much reason to jump sides. It's like, well, just switch because I'm freaking out right now. I'm just going to join these guys over here. Oh my god, I'm starting to panic. Even though I was a very strong character in the last season here, I want to do something out of character here and make this kid shit his pants.
They're teenagers. They're teenagers.
And to have Mike and Johnny like fight, like 2 seasons ago, I would have liked that over that scene, but it felt very forced and very unnecessary when it happens. And like, okay, this would have been cool about 2 seasons ago, but this makes no sense. It's like we're just having a fight for the sake of a fight.
Right.
There's no stakes here with this butting of heads between these guys.
I'm with it, but I watched enough Dawson's Creek that I'm totally fine with it.
But this is not Dawson's Creek. This is Cobra Kai. This is Karate Kid. We're talking legacy here.
Yeah, but Karate Kid, even the movies had a lot of far-fetched, stupid shit in it. Even you can admit to that. It did. Come on,
Bullshit.
man.
No.
It did.
No.
It did.
It did not.
It did.
I'll be like Ali Sheedy and say, you can eat shit.
You'll come around.
No,
All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of all the shit that we talked about. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. Like this video if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment down below. Give us your thoughts. And until next time, we'll catch you on the next issue.
It's cold. It's fishy soir, sir. It's supposed to be cold.
I should know this.
Oh, yeah. And we've even done a commentary on this movie.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Will your face be red?
Give it to me. Give me a hint.
See if I can give you another quote from the movie.
All right.
Where is that insufferable son of a bitch? All right, I'll see.
I'll see if I can give you another. I'll just
give another.
Movie.
I'm not going to go with the obvious shit. The point is to like dig deep into these movies that I know you've seen 1,000 times. Oh yeah, this might be a bad time to mention this, but my license is expired.
Damn it!
All right, here's another. Why is there always somebody who brings eggs and tomatoes to a speech?
Is this something that was brought up this past week?
No.
No? Fuck.
Nope.
I don't know. Make me look like an idiot.
It's just like you've gone all Burger Thing on. Like, no.
I've given up.
The Batman Returns.
Oh. Damn it. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Burger Thing.
Enough of these. Empty stomach. You know how it goes.
Yes.
I mean, you don't, but you know. Fuck.
Well, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I thought
you know.
You know. Yeah, I thought maybe you were making reference to Bruce Picker's podcast. When
Yeah,
you said
that's what I was doing.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. See, I pick up on your references, but unfortunately, you can't pick up
yeah, God. Long overdue for a Batman Returns rewatch, and actually, this time
we're coming up on Christmas time too.
I know.
Man, so
I know this time of year's the perfect time to do it. And also, I need to reach out to a special someone and see if they are still available to discuss certain episode of something coming up in December.
Absolutely, we need to make sure that they are available for some quality commentary, entertainment concerning Batman. It's an awesome movie, and it makes for great Christmas time viewing as well.
Yeah,
if you can watch it in July or in.
But not Ghostbusters 2, because we all know that is not a Christmas film.
Neither is Die Hard. But you can still watch them at Christmas. They make for a good Christmas movie to watch at Christmas.
Just gotta bring them give shit.
Huh?
What?
What's that?
What were you pointing out? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just waving, but I was just saying like.
No, I thought you were gonna say something else. You're gonna make a point. You pointed your finger at the screen. You were like,
Oh, I don't want to keep it going if we're trying to wrap.
And
this
another
up.
thing. No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'll just say like Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. A movie that is a Christmas movie is Christmas is pushing the story. That's why technically Ghostbusters is not a Christmas movie. It's the backdrop.
Ghostbusters
Christmas
2.
Eve is Ghostbusters 2, excuse me. But like Rambo, Jaws 4, Gremlins. Well, Gremlins is probably more of a Christmas because I think Christmas helps push it a little bit.
Dude,
but
go to Spencer's. Go to Spencer's Gifts. They got a First Blood Part 2 shirt with the poster art on it. Yeah. I almost bought it last week and I didn't do it.
Is it a soft shirt?
It looked like it. Pretty sure it was. So yeah, check it out.
I have to contemplate that because it's so hard to find any good Rambo attire to wear because it's always like someone who draws like a Rambo's body with a deer on it called Bambo. Fucking.
I was just walking around the fucking mall, just reminiscing. I do that sometimes. I go in there and I'm just like, you remember what was here, what was there? That was nice.
And you walk by that one place. I like to pay over the Payless.
Yep. I should probably do that from now on. Even though there's
Emily, and just see if she gets embarrassed or she's like
what?
Like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Sad state of things, but malls are dying.
Yeah, they are, and I just I don't think anyone who's 20 years younger than us will ever know what the quality of what a good mall was.
Yeah. Not just it's the whole experience. It's not just going to shop. That's part of it. The other part is just hanging out. That was like a hangout spot. That's where you go. That's where you socialize. If it's not that, it's like a football game if you live in the South.
See, I didn't get to do much of that at the mall at all. It was pretty much like
I didn't so much either, but I kind of look back towards that time period of when you and I would go, or like when myself and my cousin John would go. I
think when you and I go, that was about as much, because I would go. Me and my brother would Dad would take us there. We'd or my mom would take us, and I mean, as you did, going up through from 88 to 89 and into the 90s of what that mall was like. That were the one that was not far from us, and hitting all the stores and stuff like that, being dragged around to all the fucking Deb and all the shit you didn't want to go to with your mom. And as we get older, like you go to the movie theater, you go to FYE, you go to the music stores and stuff like that. But never got to socialize. It wasn't one of those places that I would meet up and you would pass attractive girls like.
But that was like you and I, not so much with the social experience, but that was a big. It's like let's go to the mall.
Yeah.
Let's go look for cute girls or cute guys like that. That the people did that shit.
Yeah,
we didn't so much do it. That was us going around. Oh, we're gonna go to KB Toys. I'm gonna argue with the guy about Ultimate Warrior's finish.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
Yeah, we looked for toys and movies and looked at pretty girls from afar.
Well, there was the one time. There was the one time.
There was the one time when I got thrown under the bus for that one.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Good times. She was hot too.
You motherfucker.
She was hot. I should have pursued that more because she was into it. She was into it, and I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, and you're like, "Tell her, maybe do it." And not just one people, but two people were telling that story, and they're both coming at me.
Yeah. Whoops.
I'm like, first off, you're not with him anymore, and second, you're not with him either. He has got free range to play the field here until you either one of you get your shit together.
That's what you call a best friend right there.
Yeah.
Even though I'm the one like fucking chucking him into the fire, he's like, you know what? You guys, he's fine. Everyone else.
I'm like, and of course, he was like, I don't know. I said, dude, go for it, man. I'll wait over here. You go.
He's sitting there. He's like, dude, you have three girls right now. They're just like, yeah. What are you doing?
And like, enjoy this. And this the first hit of trouble. He made me do it. It was his idea.
I should have hung out more with the girl at Journeys.
Yeah, the Deadpool girl.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because she was actually, I think she legitimately kind of knew her shit. because she like cosplayed as a Black Canary and stuff. I'm an idiot.
Nathan's like, hold on, I don't want to go out with you.
I'm a dumbass.
Yeah.